Welcome to True Crime with Jackson, the channel where we dive deep into history's darkest tales, shedding light on the minds and motives of some of the most infamous criminals to ever walk among us. I'm your host, Jay Jackson, and if you're into mysteries, psychology, and the chilling narratives of true crime, you're in the right place. So grab a drink, settle in, and let's dig into a story that's as haunting as it is fascinating. Today we're talking about someone who holds a grim distinction in American crime history. Aileen Wuornos, often dubbed America's first female serial killer. Now, before we dive into the depths of her story, let me set the stage for you. Aileen wasn't just any serial killer. Her case defied stereotypes, challenged societal norms, and left behind a trail of controversy that still sparks debate today. Was she a cold-blooded killer or a tragic victim of a brutal life? Let's unravel the story together. Born on February 29, 1956, a leap year baby in Rochester, Michigan, Aileen Wuornos didn't exactly have the kind of start most people would wish for. To call her childhood troubled would be an understatement. Her father, Dale Wuornos, was convicted of child molestation and died by suicide while serving time in prison. Her mother, Diane, abandoned her and her brother Keith when Aileen was just a toddler, leaving them with their grandparents. But even in their care, her life didn't improve. By her early teens, Aileen was subjected to physical and sexual abuse by her grandfather, and by the age of 14, she became pregnant after being assaulted by a companion of her grandfather. The child was placed for adoption, and not long after, Aileen found herself homeless, surviving by any means necessary. She dropped out of school, turned to hitchhiking, petty theft, and eventually prostitution to make ends meet. It was a path that seemed carved by desperation and neglect, a bleak snapshot of her reality. But fast forwarding into adulthood, Aileen's life continued to spiral. By the late 1980s, she drifted to Florida, where she met Tyria Moore, a woman who would become her lover and closest companion. Their relationship was intense, fueled by passion, but burdened by financial strain. Aileen supported them both by working as a sex worker along Florida highways, all while battling inner demons from her tormented past. Now, here's where things take a sinister turn. Between 1989 and 1990, Florida became the hunting ground for a series of brutal crimes. Over the course of a year, 6 men were found dead, shot multiple times, their bodies dumped in remote locations. Each murder carried the same signature, close-range gunshots, leaving investigators baffled as to who could commit such heinous acts. And then, the shocking truth emerged. Aileen Wuornos was the killer. She admitted to the murders, claiming that each man had either tried to assault her or harm her during sex work transactions. Aileen painted herself as a victim, a woman who killed in self-defense against men who preyed on her vulnerabilities. But as investigators dug deeper, her story didn't always align with the evidence. She was charged with 6 murders, though police believed there could have been more victims. The weapon, a .22 caliber pistol, served as a chilling link across multiple crime scenes. Her demeanor during interrogation shifted between sorrowful personal narratives and defiant outbursts, confusing the public perception. Was she a vengeful vigilante or simply a cold-blooded murderer? Let's pause and consider the complexity of this case. Aileen Wuornos was not the typical serial killer. Most serial offenders perpetrate violence over years, often with a methodical pattern or lurking obsession. But for Aileen, her murders occurred within a very short time frame. And if her claims of self-defense were true, or even partially true, it raised a striking question. Was society failing women like her, forcing them to survive in ways that pushed them into extremes? Aileen's trial began in January of 1992. The media feasted on her story, sensationalizing the female serial killer angle, because statistically speaking, male serial killers dominate headlines. But when a woman kills repeatedly, it defies expectations and shakes cultural narratives surrounding femininity and violence. She was convicted of the murder of Richard Mallory, her first proven victim, after ballistic evidence tied her gun to the crime. Mallory had a troubling criminal history, including charges of sexual assault, adding some credence to Aileen's claims of self-defense. However, during her sentencing, her violent pattern betrayed her. The judge described her as a predator, and Aileen received 6 death sentences for her crimes. In the years following, she went back and forth in interviews, sometimes portraying herself as a victim, other times admitting coldly to her crimes with little remorse. She even famously stated, "I robbed them and killed them as cold as ice, and I'd do it again. There's no chance in keeping me alive or anything because I'd kill again." Aileen spent over 10 years on death row, her mental state deteriorating further. Many believe her instability was exacerbated by years of abuse, neglect, and the harrowing life she had led. In 2002, she was executed via lethal injection, sparking outrage and heated discussions about capital punishment, mental illness, and the treatment of women in the justice system. But here's the question that lingers. Should we remember Aileen Wuornos as America's first female serial killer, a monster who terrorized the highways of Florida? Or should her legacy serve as a cautionary tale about the devastating impact of abuse, trauma, and institutional failure to protect the vulnerable? The case of Aileen Wuornos is not just a story about murder and crime. It is a story about society, about how neglect and cruelty can shape the psyche of a human being. And while her actions were abhorrent and unforgivable, digging into the roots of her life reveals systemic issues that allowed her to fall through the cracks time and time again. Aileen's story has inspired countless books, documentaries, and even the Hollywood film Monster, which earned Charlize Theron an Academy Award for her portrayal of Wuornos. It continues to spark conversation about justice, abuse, and whether society's treatment of women, especially the most vulnerable, has progressed in our modern world. So, what do you think? Was Aileen Wuornos simply a killer or the product of a life riddled with unimaginable pain? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this dive into true crime, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode of True Crime with Jackson. Thanks for joining me today. This is Jay Jackson signing off. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep seeking the truth, and as always, stay safe out there.